You're very welcome back. Now, rents are on the floor and the country's biggest banks are increasing credit for first-time buyers. It's hard not to be dazed and confused by what's happening in the Irish property market at the moment. But don't fear, because Fiona McLaughlin is here from privateseller.ie to tell us what it's all about. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan.
Now, we're going to look at the rents, the daft.ie report maybe next week in more detail and go through the areas that's more affected. But
sure.
Basically, the news is...
What's the story kind of thing? There's so much going on that affects obviously both buyers and sellers at the moment. So we're going to do a whirlwind tour basically this morning of what buyers should be looking at and what sellers should be looking at in terms of their options and what they can do with so much going on in the market at the moment.
Okay, well the banks have come out and said, okay, we're putting billions aside to get it all going again, and we want you to start buying houses again, and people are going, brilliant, great news. Is it going to happen?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly hopeful that it will. You know, we talked yesterday about the home choice loan and the effect that it's had on that. Now the bigger banks are coming into the picture, obviously as conditions of the recapitalisation. AIB and Bank of Ireland now promising to increase by 30% the amount of mortgages that they're actually giving out. And apparently the mortgage lending is up by 1/3 even in the last month or whatever. So you'd be hoping that the $2 billion that's been promised is actually going to be delivered to people.
If people who are looking to buy houses now go back to the banks and start talking to them, the mortgages could be on the table.
There's two places I would tell people buyers to go to. One is to their mortgage broker, particularly if they're a qualified financial advisor. The other is to their bank manager. Shop around for mortgages at the moment. You know, definitely Bank of Ireland, AIB undercutting each other now at the moment. AIB had an interest rate of 2.49. Bank of Ireland after coming out now and is undercutting that down to 2.42. So you know, the interest rates are really very good at the moment, which is why the home choice loan from the government isn't being taken up as we discovered. You know, 4 people have applied for the scheme, so that shows that there's obviously competition now coming into the marketplace from the financial institutions. So shop around and find out what's the best loan for you. The affordable home schemes, again, another scheme offered by the government, and basically this is where you can buy a property that's pre-selected by the government. So you can't just go out and pick any home yourself and decide I'm going to get an affordable home scheme loan. For those pre-selected properties, you can get a loan of up to 97% if you're in somewhere between 25 and 58,000, more if it's part of a couple. And that is certainly still worthwhile looking at. Roughly about 3,000 properties available nationwide. However, the issue lies in the fact that the property market is still going down, and evaluations are only done by the local county councils every 6 months. So obviously a property, if you go to your bank, which you have to do for an affordable home, you go to your own bank and say, listen, I'm buying an affordable home. If their valuer goes out and decides that it's worth less than what the local county council is saying it's worth, then you'll only get maybe 80% of a loan rather than up to 97%. So you're really at a disadvantage there.
But could you not just wait then until...
Well, my tip would be to wait until the re-evaluation is done and act very quickly as soon as the re-evaluation is done by the County Council. Dublin County Council in the last month slashed their prices by 25%. Now that was, I have no doubt, prompted by the fact that they were paying $1,000 per unit each month, and they had 300 properties that weren't selling. So 300,000 of a payment just on a bridging loan. So they slashed their prices, but the argument now is that all of the county councils offering affordable houses should do the same around the country.
Very good.
To bring it into line.
Now, if you're a seller...
If you're a seller, just very quickly, just for the buyers as well, off-market properties, I have to laugh. It's like people are feeling guilty now about having a house on sale. I see ads in some of the property supplements saying, contact us for our off-market properties, so we're not advertising them. So these sellers are actually in hiding, don't want to advertise the fact that they're selling. So it is worthwhile actually talking to an agent. You know, you may not see the properties on the website or whatever.
What houses have you got for sale? They could have a whole list in the area that you're interested in at good prices.
Absolutely. And obviously,
why is that? Why is that? Like, I know we're not seeing these for sale signs.
I think it's the whole issue of, you know, shop soiled, you know, that houses are on the market for so long that people don't, you know, they look shop soiled basically, and people start to wonder what's wrong with them. Now, obviously, that sort of rule has kind of changed, but people want their property to be presented as new or exclusive
as possible. Yeah. Okay, reduce your price.
Okay, options for sellers. I mean, the key thing you can do at the moment, if you're serious and you really need to sell your property, as a lot of people do, particularly trader-uppers with growing families, is to actually reduce your price. Now, unfortunately, the market is looking for 30 to 40% reductions at the moment. We know that schemes have sold out over the last couple of months down in Wexford, where they've reduced the house prices down to 200,000, and I think they had been selling for over 100,000 more. Even as late as last year. So you really have to be realistic if you really want to sell at the moment. If your look at your loan to value rating. Again, talk to your mortgage broker. They're more than mortgage brokers, most of them. They can actually talk to you about refinancing or restructuring your finance. They will look to your loan to value ratios. And if you have high loan, you know, if your house is worth almost the same price as your loan, then stay put. You're not going anywhere. There's not much point in trying to sell in the market at the moment. If, however, your loan is actually quite small, then you have a better chance of getting your property sold.
You can have a bit of leeway to play around with.
Also, there's free money being given out by the government at the moment for the home energy savings scheme.
That's right. We talked about this over the last few weeks.
Definitely fantastic. You know, you can get €200 for an energy assessment at the moment if you do a pre and post assessment. So, you know, you're advised properly on what to do with your home, and then do the assessment afterwards. Sell privately, sell or buy privately. You know, it's one way, whether it's using my website or any of the other for sale by owner sites nationwide. It's one way of cutting out the margins for the middlemen. So there's more of somebody who's selling privately has that margin to play with when they're negotiating with the buyer, and obviously the buyer knows that when they contact them directly. Or stay put.
Or stay put, you know, for the moment, and just sort of see how it pans out. I mean, we're saying drop next year, maybe the year after, but if you don't need to leave now, I think people are panicking and they just sort of say, oh, maybe we need a few bob in the bank or something like that. But like, stay put.
The decision to stay put is very much linked to, again, as I said, the loan to value ratio.
And do you actually think, do you actually see yourself that people will, with the government now saying that they are willing to give these mortgages at really good rates, that you're going to see people starting to buy, and houses are going to start to be bought again?
I think it's a start. I really think it's a start. I think some people, you know, people are, it's a very, very difficult time for people, and this is exactly what was needed. You know, I know from talking to people that the lending wasn't happening. Now, we've been told that by the banks that it was, but it wasn't. But now I do believe that we're seeing a little bit more activity in the marketplace. But I think my top tip for the week for anybody who's in difficulty as a seller is definitely to go and talk to either your bank manager or to your mortgage broker.
And find out some information for them. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We'll see you next week. Now, coming up after 9, have yours.